Nikola Tesla was born at midnight during a violent lightning storm on July 10, 1856, in the small village of Smiljan, then part of the Austrian Empire, in what is now Croatia. Legend claims that as Tesla was being born, lightning illuminated the entire house, and the midwife said that this newborn child would be a child of the storm. His mother gently replied that he would be a child of the light. As strange as these symbolic words sound, they uncannily predicted the life of a man who would one day illuminate the whole world and harness the power of lightning itself. Tesla's father, Milutin Tesla, was a Serbian Orthodox priest, strict, intellectual, and disciplined. His mother, Duka Mandic Tesla, possessed an extraordinary memory and astonishing skill with creating tools and mechanical devices at home. Though she never received formal education, she had a natural engineering mind. Tesla always said that his true genius came from his mother, not from books or teachers. From an early age, Tesla demonstrated abilities far beyond ordinary children. He had a photographic memory so powerful that he could memorize entire books, recite pages word for word, and visualize complex machinery inside his mind without drawing a single sketch. When he imagined something, he could rotate it, test it, and correct flaws inside his mind as if running simulations in a mental laboratory. Later in life, he would call this process picture thinking, and it became the foundation of all of his inventions. Tesla's childhood, however, was not without deep tragedy. He admired his older brother Dane, who was considered a prodigy. But when Tesla was still a young boy, Dane died in a mysterious horse-riding accident. Tesla was devastated, and the grief haunted him for years. Even more painful was that some rumors in the village whispered that Nikola had accidentally caused the accident. Something utterly false, but Tesla felt responsible nonetheless. His father became more distant, and his mother, who was already emotionally fragile, sank into deeper sorrow. The young Tesla withdrew into solitude, books, and imagination. As he grew, he began showing unusual mental abilities. He saw flashes of light, hallucinations, and bursts of imagery that floated before his eyes. He would later describe these as visions. Sometimes frightening, sometimes inspiring, they compelled him to create, design, and question everything. While other children played outside, Tesla stared at the stars, wondered about the nature of energy, and thought about invisible forces that shaped the world. He developed a love for mathematics early, performing complicated calculations instantly in his head without writing down anything. Teachers accused him of cheating because they could not believe a student could produce answers so quickly. Tesla was misunderstood all his life, not because he was wrong, but because he was too. Tesla's father wanted him to become a priest, but Tesla wanted to become an engineer. At age 17, he contracted cholera and lay on his deathbed for months. In fear of losing his son, his father finally promised that if Nikola survived, he could study engineering. Tesla somehow recovered, and true to his father's promise, he enrolled in the Austrian Polytechnic School in Graz. In Graz, Tesla was a brilliant student. He mastered lessons in half the usual time and outperformed professors in understanding electromagnetism. His obsession began with a professor demonstrating a primitive Gram dynamo, a device that converted mechanical work into electrical energy but wasted power. Tesla boldly claimed he could redesign it to eliminate the inefficiency by removing the commutator. The entire class laughed, but Tesla insisted that an alternating current motor, something that did not yet exist, would be the future of electricity. His obsession with alternating current, AC, had begun, and it would define the rest of his life. But Tesla's academic journey suddenly collapsed. An argument with a professor who mocked his AC ideas, financial troubles, and pressure from home caused him to drop out. He left university without a degree and drifted between cities in Europe, taking odd jobs, reading obsessively, and continuing to imagine the electric future he believed the world would someday rely on. He moved to Budapest, where he worked at the Central Telephone Exchange. One day, while walking through a park during sunset, a vision struck him. He suddenly saw the entire design of the alternating current induction motor, its spinning magnetic fields, its coils, and its revolutionary efficiency, inside his mind in perfect detail. He drew diagrams in the dirt with a stick, excited and overflowing with energy. This moment was the birth of the AC motor, a device that would later power factories, cities, and eventually the entire modern world. Tesla moved to Paris and then was finally sent to New York City by the Continental Edison Company in 1884. He arrived in America with only 4 cents in his pocket, a small bundle of clothing, and a letter of recommendation praising him as a man of extraordinary talent. He stepped into a city that pulsed with ambition, opportunity, and industrial chaos. Shortly after arriving, Tesla met Thomas Edison, the man who had already built a reputation as the leading inventor of the age. Edison ran a massive electrical empire based entirely on direct current, DC. Tesla admired Edison's perseverance but immediately saw the flaws in DC power. It was expensive, inefficient, and limited in distance. Tesla suggested AC as a more powerful alternative, but Edison rejected the idea sharply. Edison had built his empire on DC and refused to abandon it. Tesla worked for Edison briefly, repairing and improving machines. Edison once promised him a reward of $50,000 if he could redesign DC generators. Tesla worked tirelessly for months and delivered a far superior design. When he asked for the reward, Edison laughed and said, "You don't understand our American humor." Tesla resigned on the spot. It was the first major betrayal of many that would follow him throughout his career. Penniless and desperate, Tesla worked as a ditch digger, earning only a few dollars a day. It was humiliating, but he survived. Eventually, his luck changed. A group of investors recognized his potential and funded Tesla Electric Light and Manufacturing. With this, Tesla finally built his AC induction motor and demonstrated it to fascinated crowds. His genius attracted one of the greatest industrial titans of the time, George Westinghouse. Westinghouse immediately understood the power of AC. He purchased Tesla's patents for a large sum and offered him royalty payments. That could have made Tesla one of the richest men in history. The partnership became the foundation for what would later be called the War of the Currents. Edison fought fiercely to destroy AC. He launched smear campaigns, claiming AC was dangerous, deadly, and irresponsible. He electrocuted animals, including horses, cows, and even an elephant, to convince the public that Tesla's system was unsafe. He lobbied politicians, bribed officials, and used fear as a weapon. But Tesla remained calm, elegant, and focused. His scientific demonstrations were so flawless that the public began to see AC as the future. The battle culminated when Tesla and Westinghouse were awarded the contract to power the Chicago World's Fair of 1893 with AC electricity. When the fair lit up in dazzling white light, the world gasped in awe. It was the first city-scale demonstration of artificial lighting on such a massive scale. AC had won. Overnight, Nikola Tesla became a name known around the world. Soon after, another historic project arrived, harnessing the power of Niagara Falls. Many had tried and failed. Tesla insisted that his AC system was the only way to transmit power from the falls to cities miles away. When the first AC power plant was completed, electricity flowed from Niagara Falls to Buffalo, New York. Newspapers declared, "Tesla's power conquers Niagara." Tesla's success was monumental, but it came with sacrifices. Westinghouse's company went into financial trouble, and he told Tesla he could no longer afford the royalties. In a gesture that remains one of the greatest acts of generosity in scientific history, Tesla tore up the royalty contract, giving up what would have made him the world's first billionaire. He said he cared more about his inventions reaching the world than about personal wealth. This decision would cost him a comfortable life, yet it allowed AC to spread across continents. With the AC victory secured, Tesla moved into a new era of invention. His laboratory on South Fifth Avenue in New York became a place where electrical magic unfolded daily. He created neon lights, experimented with wireless energy, built remote-controlled boats, improved X-ray imaging, and performed high-voltage demonstrations that look like scenes from another dimension. Visitors watched Tesla stand inside cages of lightning as millions of volts crackled around him. He created artificial lightning bolts that stretched dozens of feet. People whispered that Tesla could control electricity with his mind. Some newspapers called him a wizard or magician. Others claimed he had supernatural powers. In truth, he was simply decades ahead of his time. Tesla believed the future of humanity lay in wireless communication and wireless power. He declared boldly that soon people would be able to send messages, voices, images, and data through the air to any part of the world. He described mobile phones, Wi-Fi, drones, and global broadcasting long before anyone else imagined them. To fulfill this vision, he partnered with industrial magnate J.P. Morgan and began building the ambitious Wardenclyffe Tower, a giant wireless transmission tower on Long Island. Tesla believed he could transmit unlimited electricity across the Earth without wires, giving free energy to everyone, everywhere. But Morgan had funded Tesla under the impression that this system would provide wireless communication for profit. When Morgan learned Tesla's true dream, free energy for the world, he felt betrayed. He pulled funding immediately. Without money, construction stopped. Wardenclyffe became a skeleton of steel against the sky, a monument to unfinished genius. Tesla tried desperately to save the project, but investors saw no profit in free energy. Banks mocked him. Newspapers ridiculed him. Edison's supporters celebrated his failure. Tesla fell into deep depression. Tragedy struck again when his New York laboratory burned down in a massive fire, destroying thousands of notes, inventions, and prototypes. Tesla stood on the street watching his life's work burn. He later said that the pain of that moment was greater than anything he had felt before. He rebuilt his lab again, but the world was changing fast. New scientists emerged. Investors lost interest. And without financial support, Tesla struggled. His final decades became a mixture of brilliance and loneliness. Tesla rebuilt his laboratory after the devastating fire. But the spark that once filled his workshop with activity no longer carried the same enthusiasm. He was still a man of incredible ideas, still creating brilliant concepts that no one else dared imagine. But the world around him had begun shifting in a direction he felt detached from. Young scientists were turning toward quantum mechanics, radio engineering, aviation, and new technologies that Tesla had helped inspire but could no longer fully dominate. His inventions remained monumental, yet he himself grew increasingly isolated. But the fire had not destroyed his spirit. He continued experimenting with wireless power, mechanical oscillators, bladeless turbines, particle beam weapons, and global communication systems. His mind remained a limitless source of ideas. In his later years, Tesla became fascinated by vibration and resonance. He believed that everything in the universe had a natural frequency, and by matching that frequency, one could control or influence matter. This led him to build his famous mechanical oscillator, a small device that produced intense vibrations. One day, Tesla attached the oscillator to a steel beam inside his New York laboratory. Within minutes, the building began shaking. Windows rattled, floors trembled, and nearby buildings felt the shockwaves. People rushed into the streets, thinking an earthquake had struck Manhattan. Tesla quickly smashed the machine with a hammer to stop the vibration. When police arrived, Tesla calmly explained that he had caused the tremors. They warned him never to repeat such an experiment again. Tesla later claimed that with the right frequency, he could split the earth like an apple. Whether this was exaggeration or truth remains debated, but the oscillator incident shows how powerful Tesla's discoveries truly were, and how little the world understood him. Around this time, Tesla also developed one of his most fascinating inventions, the Tesla turbine. Unlike traditional turbines with blades, his version used smooth disks and the principle of fluid viscosity to generate rotational power. It was silent, efficient, and elegant. Tesla believed it could revolutionize transportation and energy production. However, without financial sponsors, the turbine never reached mass adoption. Many decades later, modern engineers would revisit his design and marvel at how far ahead he had been. Tesla also made extraordinary contributions to radio technology. While Guglielmo Marconi is often credited with inventing radio, Tesla had already patented key components like tuned circuits and wireless transmitters. Marconi used Tesla's patents to send his first transatlantic message, and for years Tesla fought to prove his priority. The US Supreme Court eventually ruled in Tesla's favor in 1943, declaring him the true inventor of radio, but this recognition came too late, arriving after Tesla's death. Still, Tesla pressed on. He built remote-controlled boats and announced plans for teleautomatics, machines controlled wirelessly from a distance. In 1898, he publicly demonstrated a radio-controlled boat in Madison Square Garden. Newspapers called it a toy. Tesla insisted it was the birth of a new kind of warfare and robotics. He was right. Today's drones, remote weapons, and autonomous machines all trace their origins back to Tesla's little boat. Yet during his time, few took him seriously. As the years passed, Tesla's eccentricities grew stronger. He became increasingly private, spending hours walking alone, thinking, calculating, and imagining inventions that would never be built. He developed strange phobias. He avoided touching hair, disliked round objects, refused to stay in rooms with few guests, and insisted on using exactly 18 napkins at dinner. He avoided pearls and jewelry and washed his hands obsessively. Today, some believe Tesla may have had obsessive-compulsive tendencies, but at the time, these behaviors only added to his reputation as a mysterious inventor. Tesla also developed a deep affection for pigeons. He frequently visited parks in New York, feeding flocks and caring for injured birds. He brought injured pigeons to his hotel room, nursing them back to health. Among them, one white pigeon became special to him. He said he loved her as a man loves a woman, and that she gave meaning to his life. He told friends that when that pigeon died, something inside him died as well. It was one of the few times he expressed emotional vulnerability. As Tesla aged, his finances worsened. Despite shaping the foundation of modern electrical engineering, he held little money. He refused to commercialize inventions he believed would benefit humanity freely. When Westinghouse struggled financially, Tesla cancelled his royalties, a gesture that likely cost him hundreds of millions of dollars in lifetime wealth. He ignored profit, focusing instead on discovery. This noble choice cost him comfort, but preserved his sense of purpose. By the 1920s and 1930s, Tesla lived in a cycle of hotel rooms, often unable to pay rent. Hotel managers tolerated him because of his fame, but his debts frequently grew beyond his ability to repay. Newspapers published stories calling him a mad scientist. They turned him into an eccentric character, a relic of an earlier era of invention. Tesla disliked these portrayals, but he did little to correct them. Instead, he retreated deeper into himself, living more inside his mind than in the physical world. Despite his growing poverty, Tesla still had moments of glory. In 1917, the American Institute of Electrical Engineers awarded him the Edison Medal, the highest honor in his field. Ironically, it was named after the very man who had fought him during the War of Currents. Tesla accepted it with polite dignity, though many wondered whether he found the gesture amusing or bitterly ironic. During the early 1930s, Tesla announced a new invention he called the death ray or peace ray. He claimed it could shoot a concentrated beam of particles, capable of destroying aircraft, armies, and even cities from miles away. He insisted it was not a weapon of war, but a weapon that would end all wars by making invasion impossible. Newspapers mock him, calling it fantasy. But several world governments secretly sent representatives to speak with him. They wanted to know whether Tesla truly possessed such a device. Tesla presented designs, equations, and prototypes, but never built a full version, largely due to lack of funding. To this day, debate continues about whether Tesla's death ray could have worked. Some physicists argue that his ideas anticipated later developments in directed energy weapons, particle beams, and high-voltage acceleration systems. Others believe it was more imagination than practicality. Tesla took the full truth with him to the grave. In his final years, Tesla lived in room 3327 of the New Yorker Hotel. He walked daily to Bryant Park to feed pigeons. and spent nights writing in notebooks no one has ever fully recovered. He continued to give interviews, predicting the future of science with eerie accuracy. Wireless transfer of information, global power systems, self-driving machines, intelligent robots, and renewable energy. Many of his predictions came true long after his death. Yet, despite all his ideas, Tesla's final years were lonely. Friends died, family members passed away, and he grew more isolated as the decades rolled on. His clothes wore thin, his health declined, and his once powerful voice became soft. He had given the world everything, and in return, the world had mostly forgotten him. On January 7, 1943, Nikola Tesla died alone in his hotel room at the age of 86. A maid found him lying peacefully on the bed, as if asleep. Reports say he died of coronary thrombosis, heart failure, though some conspiracy theorists claim otherwise. For a moment, the world paused. Though he was poor and forgotten in life, news of his death spread quickly. Scientists acknowledged his contributions. Fans mourned him. Newspapers wrote long tributes describing the strange, brilliant, misunderstood man who had given the world alternating current and so much more. Immediately after his death, the FBI arrived at his room and seized boxes of documents, papers, and prototypes. They feared Tesla had completed work on the death ray and that foreign powers might obtain it. These documents, sometimes called the Tesla Papers, remained classified for years. Eventually, some were released, while others disappeared into government archives. To this day, speculation remains about what Tesla had been planning in his final days and whether his discoveries were lost forever. After his death, Tesla's body was cremated. His ashes were placed in a golden sphere, one of his favorite geometric shapes, and stored in the Nikola Tesla Museum in Belgrade, Serbia. Today, thousands visit the museum each year to honor him, admire his inventions, and attempt to understand the man behind the myth. But Tesla's true legacy is not in museums, hotels, or government archives. It lives everywhere, in every home, every city, every device powered by alternating current. Every time a factory runs, a street glows with light, or a power plant hums with energy, Tesla's fingerprints are present. He imagined a world connected through invisible waves, and today, through Wi-Fi, radio, satellites, and wireless communication. His vision is alive. Tesla's story is one of brilliance and tragedy, genius and isolation, innovation and misunderstanding. He lived in poverty but gave the world wealth beyond calculation. He dreamed of wireless power, global unity, and limitless energy. And though his dreams were too ambitious for the time, the seeds he planted continue to sprout in the modern age. Many people call Tesla a man born too early, a mind better suited for the future than the past. Others see him as a martyr of science, exploited by businessmen who lacked his imagination. Some view him as the greatest inventor who ever lived. And there are those who believe his greatest discoveries are still hidden, locked away in classified documents or forgotten notebooks waiting to be rediscovered. But perhaps the truth is simpler. Tesla was a man who believed that knowledge was sacred, that energy should be free, and that progress should be shared with all humanity. He believed that science was a gift, not a business. That belief cost him wealth, comfort, and recognition, but it gave the world electricity, communication, and the foundation of modern civilization. Tesla once said, "The present is theirs. The future, for which I really worked, is mine." Today, more than a century after his greatest inventions, the future continues proving him right. Nikola Tesla may have died alone, but his ideas power the world. His genius illuminates our cities. His legacy vibrates through every current, every circuit, every device, and every dream of a brighter tomorrow. And in that sense, Tesla never left us. He is still here, in the light, in the energy, in the invisible waves that connect us all.